Many gardeners have a plant that is known as the butterfly bush. It's great. It blooms all summer. Well, maybe not all summer, but it starts blooming, sometime in June, goes all the way through as late as November, depending on your frosts or freezes that you might have. Monarchs love this. Swallowtails, the black swallowtail, the zebra swallowtail, and many other butterflies really enjoy this plant. Now, I got corrected at a lecture one time. I called this little thing that looked like a hummingbird, I called it a hummingbird moth. And if someone in the audience says, that's not correct, it is known as a sphinx moth. I said, okay. But it attracts bumblebees, honeybees. It does not like really cold weather. So if you live in places, maybe like, State College or other places that might be colder, it may not come back every year. But one of the best times to prune it is in the spring after threat. The best time would be after threat of cold weather. Now for us in the Shenandoah Valley, it's going to be about the second week in April. If you move in Richmond, it's going to be the first week in April. If you're going to go to Virginia Beach or North Carolina, it may be 2 weeks prior to that. But you really want to prune it after threat of cold weather, because you'll see on some of these stems, some of the stems may have died back. I personally like to prune it hard. My dad likes to keep them taller. So the one year he pruned his to 24 inches or 30 inches in height, I pruned mine to 6 inches in height. We got very cold that winter. Guess what? Some of his didn't come back. So what you need to do, always wear gloves if you need to, protective eyewear. Sometimes you can use a hand shears, for small stems. And sometimes I start pruning. Now, to see if your plant's alive, let's take this branch for example. What I will do is just come in here with my shears, or if you got good fingernails, I don't, but I'm going to scratch, and it's brown, no green, where this branch is still green. So sometimes you need to guide your pruning to where there's still life left on your plant. Now, for my dad would come in and, he's going to prune it right here. That's about 24 inches, maybe a little taller. This is what my dad would do. Now, my pruning is going to be a little different. I'm going to come in and prune it about a foot from the ground. Now some years I'll prune it even harder. Now keep in mind, if you don't prune it, possibly in 2 or 3 years, your butterfly bush, like in Columbia, South Carolina, they grow 24 feet tall because they were never pruned. It's going to grow taller than the crepe myrtle. And one of the problems with that is, if there are butterflies on your butterfly bush, you need a ladder to look at them. And we all don't recommend getting on ladders. So you want to come in and prune it and clean it up. If there's any dead branches, and you might have these, that have died back to the ground, you're just going to come in and prune them out. This one here is dead. Maybe a little growth, one shoot, but you thin it out and you're going to take it out to the ground, and new ones are going to come right up around the base. So that's one of the reasons I like to come in and cut them harder. Now, there is a difference. By cutting your butterfly bush down, like I did here, really short, it's going to stay 2 feet shorter than this one. This variety is white profusion, the pure white. Probably not the most attractive, but it's the best one to attract butterflies and hummingbirds in your garden. By cutting it back closer to the ground, it's going to be shorter, 1 to 2 feet shorter, which makes deadheading and additional pruning that you might have to do easier during the summer months. So I like to prune mine short. Some people like to prune them taller. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.